Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 19th episode of Kouryer podcast. Today, I'm joined with Mr. Nikita Orlov. He's a fantasy and horror and gothic artist from California. And with that said and done, give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design.
Hi, Ramtin. Hi, everyone. I've been drawing and sketching since I was a kid. And when time came to choose my path, like to get education and to find a job, I found out that there is a college that teach animation in Russia. Originally, I'm from Moscow. And I was surprised that you actually can earn money by doing artwork. So I decided to take that path. And since 17, 18, I was studying arts in different fields. And since then, I was doing artwork for a living.
All right. And were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? Like, let's say before you were like 17 and 18 and you knew what you wanted to do with your life. Like, did you have a different plan, or were your parents like had different plans for you in your future?
Oh, man, I didn't have any plans. I didn't know what I'm going to do. I was very confused at that time. Seriously, I didn't know what do I like to do? What do I want to do? My parents tried to choose something for me, but it didn't work well. But what I knew exactly is that I love drawing and I love creating stuff and telling stories in one way or another. So I guess that was kind of a blessing for me to find out that there is a way to earn money with that. But it was, on one hand, it was a really tough choice because when you go there, you don't know exactly what you will be doing and how much money you will get. On the other hand, it was easy because that is something that I love to do. And it was just in my guts to create stuff.
Yeah, I mean, especially in countries like even in Middle East and Asia, like art isn't something that's really celebrated by parents, and they're not really the most ideal choices in everyone's head. You know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And
like it's. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, it was like especially maybe 10, 20 years ago. It wasn't even a profession really. Like doing artwork, and right now you have a lot of schools to teach game design and arts for games and movies and animation. The industry is booming, but back then it wasn't the case. So now it's way easier to take this choice because also you have lots of schools and online training and classes.
Yeah, and what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
Right now, I'd say it's illustration, fantasy, mostly illustration and it depends on the customer. It might be like games, illustration for games, or like public houses, for instance, Dungeons and Dragons, and that kind of stuff. They might want some illustrations. So it's either games or books. And character design, well, that's also another one.
All right, and how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start on a project?
Yeah, right. It's right now it's easier, and I start working with a clear task in my head. Like, what do I need to do? Back then, I was just doing and drawing stuff. But when you start getting like commissioned works, you have this goal you need to reach, and then it's like problem solving. You have this goal, and you try to find out how you can get to the best result you can in a short possible way. And it's getting easier every year because I get new skills and experience, and Usually, yeah, it's just you have this goal and you try to figure out the shortest possible way to reach there.
Yeah, and actually, let me tell you something. One of I think like without even knowing like who you were, like I think I saw your first earlier artworks like I think a year ago or something, and it was I think you know what I'm going to say, like the dog caricatures. I think
Oh yeah,
like
right.
that's kind of like your works that really popped off, you know, and like every artwork page just posted it everywhere, like you know, as concepts
Yeah, that was
and actually
insane.
yeah, I mean, will you please like talk about that a bit for us?
Yeah. So I created those dogs 3 years ago, I think. And that was just my personal practice training. I decided, okay, I want to do some character design and I want to practice line work. And I was looking for some interesting concept to work with. And I was going along the street and looked at all these amazing dogs around. In California, San Francisco, people have lots of dogs, like different breeds. And I thought about, like, you know, each dog has a breed, and a breed is particularly, it's a profession, what they used to do. And I thought about, what if there is a fantasy world where their breed is their profession? What would they do? So that was like a starting point, and my brain started to generate these characters, like fighters, rescue dogs, like mages, etc. And I also thought about, I haven't seen like centaurs but made of dogs yet, or there were some but they were not as great as I wish they would. So with that, I started making them. I did one dog, then another, and then suddenly I got like a pack of 9 dogs. And without knowing that, I actually tapped into this field of fans, like people who love fantasy and who own dogs. And it's just like an amazing public. People get very attracted by this idea, and I've got lots of feedback from them. And of course, lots of people messaged me like, "Hey, could you please draw my buddy in this style?" And when that happened, I actually like before that my Instagram was just like maybe 700 people followers, and after that it suddenly became like 4,000, 5,000, and I was overwhelmed.
Well, yeah, of course, the people who started following wanted to see more of that style, obviously. And I remember, I think, like, not like try to like force myself to remember. I think the first time I saw the artwork was probably 3 years ago on 9gag or something, and yeah,
Yep.
it's everywhere. I actually like it. Even like one of the art pages I follow, like usually that's one of my main sources for finding artists for my podcast. Reposted this dog caricatures, and I was like, I actually found that artist. Let me ask if they want to come on our podcast. And yeah, I mean, that's how it happened. But I mean, honestly, they actually look pretty cool in a fantasy setting, and that's something that's kind of never been done before, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, it's so obvious, but at the same time, not obvious, you know? Because you need to have the right mix of elements to actually make something really go viral.
Yeah, and that's what I love in design and concept work. It's like you take these elements and you merge them together, but with like this weird like proportions of, you take a little bit of that, a little bit of this, you put it together and see how it looks. And sometimes you get something very appealing and universal. Like I was lucky to do that with these dogs, and I was trying to repeat this process with other things and designs. It didn't work that well, but you never know what will shoot.
Yeah, of course. And there's another thing on your art station I wanted to ask you about. Like, there's like your latest artworks that have Mythgard on them. Like, what are they about?
Oh, that's a TCG game. Do you know what's that?
TCG.
Yeah, trade in card game. It's like
Oh
a
yeah.
yeah Magic the Gathering, but this game it's like online computer game, Mythgard, and that was my first like really decent commission work. I was making illustrations for this company, and they have this huge pool of artists working on them, and like maybe twice a year they have this amount of cards they need to be illustrated. And I was lucky to get on board with that and work for them a little bit. So, and the game itself, it's like a trading card game, but the setting is pretty unique. I feel like it's a mix of mythology with sci-fi. It's like you take this ancient gods and ancient heroes and place them in this futuristic world. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, that sounds actually pretty cool, and I actually like really suggest that actually could be really good for your resume. For I mean, specifically for like doing illustrations for games like that. Like actually, like there's like actually TCG is so popular right now, and not just that. Like
Yeah.
games like Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, they're
Yeah.
super popular, and they
Gwent.
also yeah, of course, Gwent, yeah, the Witcher card game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like those, like for those studios, like I think that could, you know, be real valuable because they all made illustrations like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's really hard to get into this market for an artist because you need to have this kind of illustrations in your portfolio, and without, like, for instance, if you are a new to that, you don't have these illustrations. You need to go to school, or you need somehow to manage to make them by yourself, then show those guys, and if they will like it, they will say like, okay, let's try. And then when you start working in this field, your portfolio gets filled with this type of illustrations, and it gets easier and easier to find a job.
Well, yeah, of course, the more niche you are in your field, the higher the chances of you to get hired in that niche. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like that's a no-brainer, but most people kind of miss that even when they're trying to like set up their portfolio. And yeah, I mean, let's move on to the next question. Who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Oh, I've been a fan of Gerald Brom since I was a teenager. He's a dark fantasy artist back from the 90s, I guess. He did initial illustrations and sketches for Diablo first and second. And that guy, and another one is Piotr Yablonsky. Piotr Yablonsky is I'm a huge fan of his works, and that's if we're talking about like fantasy and artists. Also, because I'm Russian, I have observed a lot of Russian artists, like traditional, old school Russian masters, like Ilya Repin, Levitan, Surov, etc.
All right. And what is the main subject of your artworks, and what made them interesting to you?
Main subject of my artworks, or sorry?
Yes, correct.
Oh, I think I try to explore both sides of our psyche, dark side and light side. And I'm really attracted into tapping this shadow area of our desires and wishes. And I love combining scary and weird stuff with something beautiful. Because our world is not just black and white. It's both. You have good things, you have bad things, but if you look at them from a different point of view, you will see maybe another picture. So ideally, I love finding this contrast and just working on those ideas. And that's talking about lore stuff and stories. And for designs, it's more, I also love working with a contrast, like making this image pop, making this image catch your eye, adding something that will intrigue and interest you. Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to do right now at this stage of my art.
All right, and next question is how to simplify the start of the learning process. And what I mean by that is, like, you know how, for example, when you go to, as someone, for example, who doesn't know anything about art, and you just go up to your friend or your teacher and say, how do I start like drawing? And their answer is usually like, just start drawing. I mean, that's kind of basic. That's not drawing, you know?
Yeah.
But it pops up more questions than it answers, you know? I mean, the answer is correct, but it brings more confusion. So, in your opinion, how to simplify the learning process?
For artists, well, okay, there is, like, you always need to know the basics. Perspective, construction, how to do shading. This is like basic stuff that you just, you need to know that, like, this is necessity. And then there is another thing you need to learn is learn, how to acquire new skills. This is also like a process, and you need to have a clear goal of your education. What do you want to know? And it should be not some like abstract goal, like I want to be an illustrator or I want to be an animator. You need to set up a, as much as possible, clear goal. Like I want to be an illustrator working for a Blizzard company doing splash art for projects like, I don't know, Hearthstone. So, and when you have this clear goal, you actually, with that, you can answer a lot of your questions. Like, what stuff do I need to learn? What stuff do I need to, what people do I need to contact? Where I'm good enough and what do I need to push? So setting up as much as possible clear goal is essential, and then knowing your basics as an artist, how to actually draw an object and create believable, like a perspective and light and shadow and that stuff.
All right, and any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Try to figure out what's the purpose of your portfolio, who is going to see that. And actually, I've learned a really good advice a while ago is try to place the best 5 artworks in your portfolio. You have the goal, like for instance, you want to show that portfolio to like a Magic the Gathering art director. Place 3 illustrations that will fit the job you're going to do, and then another 2 illustrations some of your personal stuff, showing that what else you can do. So the less the better, and know your audience, know who is going to see your portfolio.
All right, and what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it? Of course, I mean, if there's a project, like there's some NDAs that you can talk about, I mean, understandable, but if that's okay, like what's the project you're working right now?
I'm actually right now wrapping up Sorry.
No problem.
1 second. I think I got logged out. Okay, I'm back here. I'm wrapping up a project. I'm working with guys from Italy. They're making their D&D setting, like a dark fantasy D&D setup, and making characters for them. It's called Kisarta, and I will start posting artworks for that setting soon. It's pretty awesome.
Like D&D is one of those niches that people underestimate a lot, but there's so much money and attention in D&D right now. Like the other day, I was watching this video from like Christo, like Do You Know the Future YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of his students, like there was this woman that she became a millionaire by designing handmade crafted Dungeons and Dragons dices, and she became a millionaire through that. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. You can check the latest video of Future channel that Christo just made.
And it's also like the fan base is enormous for D&D. Also, there are like many companies that work with this like genre, and for artists it's a really good field to start working. You can start making your fantasy characters and illustrations just working with D&D fans. And it's great. I've been into D&D since high school.
Yeah, I mean, I've always like been interested in Dungeons and Dragons, but the thing is that I've literally never had like just a single person or friend who would be interested in that, like because it's something that actually needs imagination, like an imaginative person, and that's like sometimes it's really hard to like try to get find those kind of people, to have that in your group.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's an awesome game. Yes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like many artists when we were growing up. Usually, it's an artist. It's a kid who was on the back desk in the classroom, like not many friends, not very popular, and it also comes together. Like playing D&D is a place where you can reveal yourself. You can reveal yourself through artwork or like D&D or other games. So
yeah. And what area beside the area you're working on right now are you interested to explore and learn? And what I mean by that is like right now you're a visual artist, all right?
Yep.
And let's say right now you got $1 million, all right, hypothetically, and that, of course, because of that you can chill and you have more time to do other stuff. You don't have to take things serious that much, worry about bills, and you can focus on a new skill. What would that skill be?
Oh man, I think it will be psychiatry, like therapy stuff. I've been reading a lot of books about that, and I'd love to learn that more. And maybe doing more bouldering and climbing.
That sounds fun. And with all that being said and done, to conclude everything we discussed in this whole episode, could you give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and design and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set, like where to start, best tools, softwares, preferred books, anything, like from step 0 to where you are, like a roadmap? Could you give us that?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, try to figure out what do you like. What is your passion? Is it animation or games or movies or comics? And then try to do that, like with no skills at all, but just like try that. If you will feel like that it's something that excites you, then this is a good sign that you need to develop skills in that way. And after that, look for online class or any group or any school that will teach you how to work in that media, because you will need a really you will need this path with steps designed for you by like teachers and someone who will actually see your progress. And on top of that, you will need a community of other artists. The community is one of the most important things that you will need. It's because when you work in a group, you grow faster. It's more fun. It's more effective. So, and yeah, the best way is try to find online class or school, and then do not expect to achieve everything by finishing only one class or school. You will need to do that again and again and again, like throughout your life. The education process takes time. It takes like many years. If you are like newbie and you have no skills, like probably it will take you from 3 to 5 years just to start doing something that doesn't look like crap. It's a hard way, it's a hard work, but in the end, you will get there, and it will be a lot of fun.
All right, I think that's about it. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Orlov. And where can people find you if they wanted to contact you or add any questions?
Well, thanks, Ramtin. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram mostly. I don't do Twitter a lot. Instagram, Facebook, and for Russian audience, it's Vkontakte. So yeah, you can find it there.
Yeah, it's _art. I'm gonna put the Instagram ID in the captions and also tag the posts. And well, that's about it. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. See you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you, Ramtin.